To invite a young man called Andre, who is a safety officer for the Hyatt, and he will give you a few instructions. Andre?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hyatt Regency Trinidad. I am Safety and Security Officer Andre Felix from the Hyatt Security Department, and the following is a brief description of the hotel's evacuation guidelines. Should it become necessary to evacuate the hotel, you will be notified by a continuous siren followed by an audible instruction to evacuate the building. Upon hearing the "May I have your attention please" recording over the intercom, you should proceed orderly to the exit closest to you and make your way to the muster point at the car park, which is located on Dock Road. An emergency response officer from Hyatt will assist you in evacuating. Once outside, conduct a head count for your group to ensure that no one is left inside. Should you believe that someone is missing, notify the security officer stationed in your area. Do not go back into the building for any reason until the fire service has given the all clear. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and do enjoy your time with us.
Welcome again to the second ICT Business and Innovation Symposium 2010. It's nice to see so many of you from yesterday. Lots of wonderful information, and for someone like me, whose world is more artistic than technological, certainly is and continues to be, and will be, I'm sure, today, an eye-opener. My name is Maurice Brash, for those of you who were not here yesterday, and I am your MC for today. Before I hand over to Mr. Larry Hawaii, who is the chairman of the e-Business Roundtable and the CEO of First Citizens, I would like to thank our sponsors. I'd like to thank our platinum sponsors, First Citizens Bank and Telecommunication Services of Trinidad and Tobago, TSTT. We'd like to thank our silver sponsors, Microsoft, Ministry of Trade and Industry, IBM, and our bronze sponsors, Illuminat, Fujitsu, and Crimson Logic. So, without any further ado, Mr. Larry Hawaii.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again this morning. My role is just simply to do a brief review of yesterday, give a flavor of what had happened before we get into the meat of today's proceedings. Yesterday we began with, first of all, we began with myself, which wasn't as good value for money as Mrs. McComey, who came on right after, and representing the Ministry of Planning and Ministry of Public Administration. She had expressed the hope that the outputs from the symposium would feed into the government's strategic planning process, particularly the National 5-Year Development Plan and also the refresh of our national ICT strategy. After that, we had Dr. Dutta, who spoke on leveraging technology for competitiveness, development, and innovation. He had identified technology as an enabler in transforming our society and spoke to the sudden desire to create, or the capability which technology gives us to create new markets and the potential that innovation has to change the world. Particularly the speed of innovation, which continues to accelerate, and which is creating a new challenge for us, because we now have to find a way to connect our social infrastructure, the social structures that we have within society, to enable human beings to manage the pace at which technology is transforming our lives. We then went on to the next session, which identified the key pillars for development, And the panel looked at a number of areas, and we looked at a number of development models, including Costa Rica and Ireland. And in particular, we identified the possibilities that regional cooperation provided. In this respect, the panel did speak to the HIPCAR model, which is a harmonization of ICT policy for the Caribbean, and we saw that as a project to be an important first step in improving regional coordination. We then went to a great lunch with Rick. Rick had, spoke to us on a smarter planet, how forward-thinking leaders are capturing the potential of smarter systems to achieve economic growth and efficiency. And I thought it was personally quite a revealing session for me in terms of the capabilities that existed and which could be leveraged to create a much more efficient society. We had a ministerial forum where we had a number of ministers speaking. One of the interesting points I noted there was the change in the mandate of the CTU from a telecoms focus to a wider ICT focus, and I thought that was pretty important. And Dr. Toure, who was a speaker on the forum, gave us some recommendations, including ensuring our citizens are e-ready, providing incentives for innovation, and providing mechanisms for harmonization and coordination of efforts. We then, of course, had the Prime Minister who reiterated the high priority that the government places on ICT. She noted that ICT is pillar 4 of the government's 7 interconnected pillars for sustainable development, while the creation of a knowledge-intensive economy is pillar 5. And I think those were very important issues for us to be aware of, and in terms of the thrust of the government in this particular area. We then went on to speak to MSMEs, which is an important part of our society, and the issues raised included the availability of venture capital, the unawareness or lack of awareness of existing aid, and sometimes the limited business acumen of people who are technically strong but who are unable to put things together in a way that would persuade investors to get involved. And then finally, we spoke to ICT action in the health arena. We spoke about upgrading skills using e-learning and also using mobile technology as the crux of a health care system which promoted preventative care and personal health awareness. So those are some of the things that we dealt with yesterday. The hall seems to have filled up quite nicely in the last few minutes, so we're pleased about that. Today, we're going to have another great day. We have Chris Anderson first up, and after the break, we'll be going to cloud computing, which is where my wife thinks my head is all the time. So I think it'll probably work very well for us. So thank you very much.